in-depth around the world, but does he have enough oxygen? Royal wedding in the future. A report tonight the Queen has finally given the approval to Charles and Camilla.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Substituting tonight, Brian Williams.
Good evening. Tonight, parts of the American West and Pacific Northwest amount to kindling, waiting to be ignited. It is hot, it is dry, and where the wildfires are raging tonight, firefighters are scrambling to get a handle on the fast-moving flames. Over 500,000 acres are now gone, scorched earth, and as NBC's Chip Reed reports tonight from Rouge, Oregon, the effort now is to notify those in its path.
Brian, there are now so many major fires burning that they're competing with each other for resources. Soon, officials say there may not be enough firefighters or equipment to go around.
This afternoon in the Icicle Creek Valley in central Washington, spreading the word. Be prepared to evacuate at any time.
I'm packing everything in my car and my pickup.
This just hours after 18 families in the same area living in the path of this raging fire were forced to flee. And at nearby Lake Chelan, a group of hikers had to be rescued from yet another blaze.
It's pretty amazing seeing the fire climb up the ridge and light the trees on fire.
Throughout the West, 36 major wildfires are burning out of control in bone-dry forests. Weather reports are setting off more alarms for tomorrow.
We're going to have a dry cold front come across the area tomorrow, and that's going to bring us some increasing winds. We'll see winds up to 30 miles per hour.
Resources now stretched so thin, western states are looking for support 3,000 miles away. These firefighters coming from Manchester, New Hampshire. And in Oregon, help from the National Guard after the governor declares a state of emergency. But experts say it's not only Westerners who should be worried. This is the latest wildfire potential assessment from the National Interagency Fire Center, scheduled to be released tomorrow, revealing that Michigan and the upper northeast section of the country are unusually and dangerously dry.
It's going to be an early and potentially severe fire season for the East Coast states.
Working 12, even 16-hour shifts, firefighters are making progress on some of the blazes, beginning to get a handle on this 5,600-acre fire in southern Oregon near the California border, cutting down dead trees to make sure they don't fall unexpectedly later.
I'm not sure about containment, but I think we're starting to get the upper hand.
But for the firefighters, there will be little relief because once they get this one under control, they'll be on to the next one. That's a pattern that's expected to continue throughout this dry summer and possibly into the fall. Brian?
Chip Reed on the ground for us tonight from Oregon, thanks. Now to the aerial attack on the fires out west, specifically one extraordinary lead pilot, her courage in attacking her mission each day as fire consumes more of the ground beneath the aircraft. Our report tonight from NBC's Dan Lothian.
In the dangerous and demanding business of flying into firestorms, U.S. Forest Service lead plane pilot Kathy Allred is one step ahead of the aerial attack.
It's like fighting a war, but they're not shooting at you.
Her enemy, extreme wildfires. Her mission, mapping terrain, then guiding large air tankers safely in and out of hotspots to drop the fire retardant.
Maybe I am a little bit nuts. It's just real challenging flying.
Allred's twin-engine Beechcraft Baron, small and maneuverable, flying at 140 miles an hour, skimming the ground. Danger just around the ridge.
Sometimes it gets just a little hairy, I guess you'd call it. We've all had close calls.
But her job, a critical line of defense in fighting fires, especially in rugged terrain. Allred was first on the scene at the devastating Los Alamos fire last year, is credited with helping save many structures at the lab. And this year, with the West ablaze, her work more important than ever. Allred, just 5'6", has nerves of steel. 12 years experience as a lead pilot, a lifetime spent in the air. But still today, as the only female doing her job at the Forest Service, she's battling the gender issue along with fires. She says missions turn into a test, already finding she still has to prove a woman can perform in a male-dominated squad.
Every now and then get a little resistance from maybe a firefighter on the ground.
You guys can give me a call on the radio.
But she gets plenty of respect, too. Air tanker pilots relying on her skills to survive.
You know where she's going to be, and she is where you want her to be.
Allred is considered one of the best in the business, has received top awards. She spends 8 months on the road, often alone, away from her New Mexico home, her 2 Basset hounds, and her husband who retired from the same job.
I saw him in June.
But the payoff? Priceless.
It's a real satisfaction when you come home and say we saved those houses. The days that we don't save houses, we just say we're going to do better tomorrow.
And tomorrow she'll be back in the air, the lead attack in the Western fires. Dan Lothian, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Now, from the fires to the storm brewing out over the water, will Chantal become the next named hurricane of the Atlantic storm season? NBC's Robert Hager has the details of this big storm system that seems to be having some trouble gathering steam tonight.
As the largest fleet of planes ever assembled for storm tracking and research stands by today, Chantal could affect the Windward Islands by tonight. Some chance it could become the season's first hurricane by weekend. Too early to tell if it's a threat to the U.S. coast. But today, scientists are getting ready to study this season's storms. Robbie Hood from the space agency, NASA.
We're trying to get our suitcases unpacked, so we're all a little on edge a little bit, but, we'll be ready to go.
Frank Marks in the stepped-up program from the Climate and Weather Agency, NOAA.
We're kind of primed right now. I mean, it's a perfect time for us to spin this up.
Research planes will fly higher than ever to study the tops of storms. And for the first time, unmanned craft launched from vehicles like this will fly low into hurricanes, clocking winds just off the wave tops where it's too dangerous to send manned craft. Among this year's goals, to find out what it is that causes some storms to suddenly turn monstrous.
We're going to be studying the intensity and what changes the hurricane goes through on a daily basis, and what are the forces that make it change.
Researchers suspect the hotter the water is and the deeper it's hot, the more likely a hurricane passing over will grow explosively within hours. NOAA's Hugh Willoughby.
Overnight's kind of the operative thing. People could wake up on the coastline with a nasty surprise that they weren't warned when they turned off the evening news the night before.
Finally, they'll study the destructive dynamics of a storm coming ashore.
You got spray and air bubbles and waves and swell, current, everything all interacting. And then as you hit land, bang, all of a sudden you got a flat surface that's hard, and it's got all sorts of structures and stuff. So we're trying to understand what causes the damage.
Because what we learn from the storms of today, like Chantal, can improve forecasts and save damage or even lives in the hurricanes of tomorrow. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
In Kansas City tonight, prosecutors are calling it a nightmare, the terrible, painstaking task of trying to find cancer patients who may have received watered-down versions of life-saving chemotherapy drugs from a local pharmacist, who is, by the way, behind bars tonight as federal agents try to figure out just how much damage he may have done. Here is NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams.
At the FBI's Kansas City office today, agents check hotline calls, over 400 so far, from cancer patients worried they might have gotten the highly diluted drugs.
Hello, you have reached the FBI FDA hotline.
At this clinic, doctors frantically search their records, checking how many of their patients they gave 2 chemotherapy medicines, Taxol and Gemzar, that came from Tower Pharmacy. Preliminary count, more than 100.
We were really caught off guard, actually caught breathless by these allegations. And literally since the moment we found out, there's been every effort made to put the patients first.
Authorities say pharmacist Robert Courtney, seen here last year, diluted supplies of those 2 key cancer drugs to at least one area doctor. One sample tested had so little drug in it, it was 99% useless. Now federal agents work to find out how long that was going on.
We don't know if he started doing it 3 weeks ago or if he started doing it 3 years ago. And I think it's important to determine, how many people could have possibly received treatment during that time.
Some may never know. Marge Vermillion, whose husband died of cancer 4 years ago, now says she wonders if the Taxol he took, supplied by Courtney's pharmacy, was to blame.
I look at it and maybe I could say that he killed my husband. Who's to say?
Courtney is now held without bail on orders of a federal magistrate who says there's a risk he'd flee, quote, to avoid dealing with those who receive the altered drugs or members of their families. Legal experts say Courtney now faces a flood of lawsuits beyond any criminal charges. Court records reveal he owns 2 drugstores, a high-priced house, and more than $8 million worth of stocks. Courtney's lawyer says he'll plead not guilty, but the FBI says if it turns out that any patients died from taking the diluted drugs, he could face far more serious charges. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
Still ahead as we continue this Thursday night, our special series we're calling 5 Nights That Could Save Your Life. Tonight, the dangers lurking in your own home.
I was really kind of stunned because I always have thought my home was pretty safe.
How to avoid home accidents, protecting you and your loved ones, part of our special series tonight. And up next, NBC News In Depth, balloon adventurer Steve Fawcett trying to circle the globe. And what a way to pass the halfway mark, a terrifying ride over the Andes. First, the nightly question, in what year was the first hot air balloon launched? We'll have the answer when we come back.
What is possible? Does achievement discriminate? Or does it open its doors to everyone?
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today.
I should have used Preparation H.
New Preparation H medicated wipes with aloe, the easy way to cleanse, cool, and soothe. Easier because they're 4 times bigger than Tux pads. New Preparation H medicated wipes. Big relief.
While Mike was putting up his own for sale sign, someone was helping his neighbors John and Diane with plans to sell their home. As Mike spent Saturday figuring out legal agreements and guessing his home's value, someone was preparing a counteroffer so John could help at the school fundraiser. And while Mike and his wife were reevaluating their asking price for the 3rd time, someone was closing the sale on John and Diane's home. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
Tired of struggling down glass after glass of powdered fiber for regularity? Consider refreshing glasses of water with FiberCon tablets. A whole lot easier to take.
And every bit as effective as powder.
FiberCon, refreshingly easier to take.
This school supply thing.
I know, but until the school budget catches up, I really don't see any other way.
It's just really starting to add up.
The kids really need those supplies.
In an effort to help local schools, Office Depot is crediting 5% of your back-to-school purchase to the school of your choice. Office Depot, helping schools take care of business.
Friday, a 2-hour Dateline at 8/7 Central. Catastrophe. A shooter opens fire. Heroes look back at the Tower of Terror. Dateline Friday on NBC.
NBC News In Depth tonight, the tycoon and the balloon. Millionaire adventurer Steve Fawcett trying once again to make his way around the globe all by himself in his balloon, Solo Spirit. He has gone past the halfway point and is heading toward the Atlantic tonight. First, let's answer the nightly question. In what year was the first hot air balloon launched? The answer, way back in 1783. That was in France. Ballooning has come a long way since then, of course, but the elusive solo round-the-world trip has never been done. In Depth tonight, here is NBC's Ann Thompson.
A critical but frightening day for adventurer Steve Fawcett, passing the halfway point over northern Argentina in his 5th attempt to fly solo around the world in a balloon. Enduring terrifying moments crossing the Andes Mountains, 22,000 feet high, hitting turbulence so strong he had to put on his emergency parachute.
He actually said on the email that it was rather scary, which I think is a bit of an understatement. And he sort of encountered this sort of thing before, and he was well prepared for it.
But tonight, a new concern. Does Fawcett have enough oxygen to complete the second half of the trip?
My oxygen mask on, every moment that I can.
Flying in an unpressurized gondola, the 57-year-old Fawcett is using more oxygen than expected in a trip that's taking longer than planned. What was supposed to be a 14-day journey may now take more than 20.
We thought we had several days extra of a number of things. Now we're going to be right down to a photo finish, both with oxygen and with water, as it turns out.
Key to making the oxygen last, mission officials say, is lowering Fawcett's altitude to below 18,000 feet, where he won't need the oxygen mask, something they hope to do as he heads out over the Atlantic. Fawcett started this journey August 4th in Northam, Australia. He's flown over 12,000 miles, and now in his 12th day, he is crossing South America at 34 miles an hour. He soars under a balloon 140 feet tall in a gondola just 7 feet long and 5.5 feet high, eating military rations and sleeping only 4 hours a day.
I don't want to ever sleep more than 45 minutes because there's adjustments that need to be made.
But fatigue can be an issue, says fellow balloonist Kevin Uliassi. He held the record for the longest solo flight until Fawcett broke it on this trip.
You have to remind yourself to drink water, remind yourself to eat. I mean, some of your appetites and thirsts go away.
The longest solo flight on record, and now the second longest balloon flight ever. Fawcett tries to do what Bertrand Piccard and Brian Jones did together in 1999, but alone.
And if I pull it off, I'll be very proud of it.
The achievement of a lifetime in a lifetime of adventure. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Chicago.
We'll take a break, and when we continue, it's all they're talking about in England. Has the Queen really given Prince Charles permission to marry Camilla?
Mom? Dad? I know it looks like I don't listen, but I do.
I mean, I was listening when you told me how to say no.
Like saying, no thanks, I don't smoke. You were right. I don't have to smoke to fit in.
I like that you let me know where you stand.
And I don't have to do what anybody else does.
I just have to do what's right for me.
And that's not to smoke.
And that's not smoking. See? I was listening.
The pain was awful. It got so bad I wanted to lie down. Then I rediscovered Extra Strength Bayer. Nothing's proven stronger, not even the leading prescription. And aspirin can help save your life.
Bayer. Take it for pain, take it for life.
It's Applebee's Fiesta del Grill. Make your taste buds dance with tangy tequila lime chicken. Or for a limited time, the sizzling Southwest steak skillet. Only at Applebee's.
Nature made it. Minwax makes it beautiful with rich wood stains and long-lasting protective finishes. Turning a house into a beautiful home is as easy as turning to Minwax.
Now, the same Caltrate that helps fight bone loss may help your colon too. In a recent study, Caltrate helped reduce the risk of recurrence of colon polyps, a risk factor for colon cancer. The same Caltrate you take for your bones, now for colon health too.
I'm every man.
And every woman who ever suffered from frequent, persistent heartburn.
If you've treated your heartburn and changed your diet, but the pain comes back 2 or more days a week, then you may think you know about acid reflux disease.
But there's something about acid reflux that I didn't know.
Over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't.
Now the makers of Prilosec introduced their new purple pill, Nexium. Just 1 prescription Nexium a day gives many people complete resolution of heartburn symptoms.
That could mean complete heartburn relief.
And Nexium is also proven to heal erosions in the esophagus caused by acid reflux. Only a doctor can determine if you have this damage. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium and Prilosec are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and for a free trial certificate for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with the new purple pill called Nexium.
Tomorrow, the hottest concert stage in the city goes country with music from Tim McGraw. Brought to you by the incredible Edible Egg. Live, outside, and only on Today.
Revenge of the Whale, NBC, September.
An investigation underway tonight into what Delta Airlines is calling, quote, an incident this morning at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, DFW. Others are calling it a very close call. A Delta Airlines 737 bound for California was taxiing for takeoff when at the same time, sources say a Continental Airlines 737 had been cleared to taxi across the very same active runway. Sources say there was no contact between the aircraft, but the Delta pilot was forced to take off so quickly that the plane's tail scraped the runway and was slightly damaged as a result. There were no injuries in either aircraft. Now to our special series here this week. We are calling 5 nights that could save your life. Tonight, the hidden dangers under your very own roof. NBC's Fred Francis on why home may not be as safe as you think.
Home sweet home, yet almost 31,000 accidental deaths last year. Over 7 million injuries in houses of horror.
Every day I question, what could I have done differently? What should I have done?
Brandy and Garrett Means now know what could have saved 3-year-old Justin.
I tried to go under the smoke to get in there, and there was just no way.
Justin died after a space heater ignited a blanket and destroyed their home.
There we have the towel, an old towel sitting on the oven.
Lonnie Combs, a Phoenix safety inspector, says hazards are everywhere and not obvious.
This get hot, catch on fire real quick.
Combs inspected Flo Carroll's home for Nightly News.
Yeah, I was really kind of stunned because I always have thought my home was pretty safe.
This is one hazard right here. Yeah, you could fall and break a hip on that.
Among older Americans who suffer hip fractures, 1/4 die within a year. Combs says falls, fires, and wiring flaws, the big killers.
If you have a little finger like a kid, it would shock you. That's 110 volts.
Now, some people would say that you're being too cautious.
When it comes to a life, it's not being too cautious.
The deadliest place for kids, under the sink.
A lot of this stuff is very, very bad. It's poison.
Products we use daily. Ginny Buckholtz kept her cleaners up high.
The doctor said that he may not survive it.
But Daniel found something else, sucking on the kerosene wick of an outdoor torch.
I just don't want to have anything like that happen to anybody else.
Yet 1 million kids a year are poisoned. Experts say 40% of families do not have cabinet latches. What to do? Have a trained eye like Lonnie Combs inspect everything in your house and outside.
All these electrical wires, you have to make sure all the trees are trimmed away from.
Combs says it's the things we take for granted that kill us.
I had used them growing up. Nothing ever happened.
Like that space heater, the slippery throw rugs, the cleaning products.
Every day I question every single moment that happened that night.
What happened when a home is not a safe haven? Fred Francis, NBC News, Phoenix.
By the way, there is more information on how to provide safety inside your home by logging on to msnbc.com. Economic news tonight, 2 positive indicators. First, consumer prices. The government says prices dropped 0.3% in July. That's the biggest decline in 15 years, due mostly to lower prices for energy and gas. The numbers out today also show that housing construction was up 2.8%, the biggest jump there in 17 months' time. On Wall Street, that news apparently didn't mean very much. By the closing bell, the Dow had eked out only a small gain, about 47 points. NASDAQ also up a little over 11. Managing to stay just above 1900. Up next, as we continue, could it be another royal wedding for Prince Charles? It is the talk of the UK tonight.
When I got my cholesterol checked, it was high. Too high. So Liz and I got very careful about what we were eating. We even joined a gym. But my doctor found my cholesterol was still too high.
He's doing everything you asked. Now what?
That's when my doctor added Lipitor.
Lipitor is the #1 prescribed medication for lowering cholesterol. In clinical studies, Lipitor with diet lowered bad cholesterol 39 to 60%, total cholesterol 29 to 45%, triglycerides 19 to 37%. Once-a-day Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor about muscle pain or weakness, as they may be signs of serious side effects. Call 1-888-LIPITOR.
Look at those numbers. They're way down.
Lipitor did it.
Ask your doctor what Lipitor can do for you. Lipitor, the lower numbers you're looking for.
Pete Sampras knows about One-A-Day's new active multivitamin with more B vitamins and ginseng to enhance energy One a day. Get active, stay active.
Your toothbrush lives in a pretty questionable neighborhood. Your bathroom, home to millions of airborne germs. Introducing the first antibacterial bristle protection toothbrush from Butler Gum. It's the only one treated with a clean coating that prevents germs from flourishing on its bristles. 3 antibacterial brush heads are included. It keeps itself cleaner, no matter what moves into the area. Get the new antibacterial bristle protection toothbrush, only from Butler Gum.
When my arthritis started choosing the notes, I thought my jazz days were over. But my doctor said keep moving with Advil. It's strong enough to let me control the pain. That's me playing again.
Take Advil and take control.
New at 6, it's a power plant built in record time. Tonight, how PGE hopes it will impact the energy crisis. Find out if ethnic background increases your chances of developing breast cancer. And the WNBA chooses its top rookie. And it's a member of the Portland Fire. Tonight at 6 on News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
Fax machine scanner.
Not on the list.
School supply list. Staples. Yeah, we've got that.
For a book report or something.
Tomorrow on Business Center. Are your PC stocks in danger? Join Ron Insana and Sue Herrera tomorrow on CNBC Business Center at 6 p.m. Eastern. Profit from it.
MSNBC tonight at 10. A new Headliners and Legends. Find out how the new Madonna is seducing a whole new generation. Headliners and Legends tonight at 10 on MSNBC.
The British royal family hasn't been making a whole lot of news in recent months, undoubtedly to their great relief considering what they have weathered of late. But a magazine article out today is floating the possibility now that the heir to the throne, Prince Charles, and his longtime friend Camilla Parker Bowles just might be finally allowed to get married. What do the royal watchers make of all of this? Here is NBC's Donna Friesen.
It's said they've been in love for almost 30 years, but only now, at least according to a British magazine, has Britain's Prince Charles been given his mother's grudging approval to marry Camilla Parker Bowles. The Spectator magazine says the Queen accepts that the last great thing she has to do in her reign is to sort out the relationship between Charles and Camilla, and in practice, that means to smile on a marriage. Smile with clenched teeth. Until now, the Queen has barely acknowledged Camilla's existence. Even at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, where they're all on holiday, they stay in separate houses, Camilla not invited to family functions. And today, the palace dismissed stories of an impending wedding as absolute rubbish. Still, the speculation is rampant in a country that's never embraced Camilla the way it did Diana, especially since Camilla is widely blamed for breaking up the royal marriage. Camilla and Charles reportedly rekindled their affair in 1989.
There's no doubt that since the death of the Princess of Wales, public opinion has swung more round in favour of Camilla. I wouldn't call it enormous popularity. I would think it's tolerance.
If the Queen has approved of the marriage, why now? Palace insiders say it's because she's realized their undefined relationship, Camilla as mistress, can't go on forever, especially when Charles becomes king. It simply wouldn't be proper.
We have a sign here that from the palace that the Queen is beginning to address and admit that there is a problem which needs to be solved fairly soon.
Since their first public appearance 2 years ago, Charles has carefully choreographed their romance, culminating this summer in a kiss at a charity event. But the timing of the wedding, if there is one, is up to the Queen. Not next year. She'll be celebrating her Jubilee, 50 years on the throne, and she doesn't want to be overshadowed. And there is one more royal to win over, the Queen Mother, still formidable at 101, and still said to disapprove. Donna Friesen, NBC News, London.
That is nightly news for this Thursday night. I hope to see you later this evening for the news on MSNBC. That's at our new time, 8 o'clock, and again each weeknight, of course, on CNBC at 10. I'm Brian Williams reporting tonight from New York. Good night, everyone.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.